Today we uncover the shocking truth about UK shampoo brands. Right now, sitting in your bathroom, there's a bottle you've trusted for years. Maybe it's the same brand your mother used, or the one your doctor recommended for dandruff, or the budget option you picked up at Tesco because you thought all shampoo was basically the same. That bottle contains formaldehyde, the same chemical used to preserve bodies in medical schools. It contains propylene glycol, an ingredient in antifreeze. It contains hidden carcinogens that aren't required to appear on the label because they're created during manufacturing, not added intentionally. And here's what makes this a genuine scandal. While the European Union lowered their formaldehyde safety threshold to 0.001%, British shampoos can legally contain 50 times more formaldehyde without requiring any consumer warning whatsoever. Northern Ireland follows EU standards under the protocol. A shampoo requiring warning labels in Belfast doesn't need them in Birmingham. Americans who used these exact products received millions in compensation after experiencing hair loss and scalp burns. British consumers who used identical products experienced identical harm. The outcomes were very different depending on which side of the Atlantic you purchased your bottle. Some of the biggest names in hair care made public commitments to remove dangerous preservatives, then quietly continued using them for years after their own deadlines passed. Others discovered severe problems with one product line, settled, then kept using the same ingredient in different brands for another decade. The formulas changed to save money. The premium ingredients disappeared. The names stayed the same. Your trust stayed the same. The products didn't. So, we've gone through the major shampoo brands currently sold in UK supermarkets and will expose the 9 products you need to avoid. Then I'll tell you the 3 that are actually still worth buying. Before we get into it, I need you to do something. If this information shocks you, if you think more people need to know what's really in these bottles, click that hype button right now. That hype tells YouTube this matters. It pushes this video to more people who are still using these products without knowing what they're putting on their scalps every single day. Every hype helps spread awareness. It puts pressure on these companies to answer questions they've been avoiding for years. It's how we push back against corporations that prioritize profit over your health. So click hype and let's hold them accountable together. And let's get into it. Number 9. Head and Shoulders. The iconic white and blue bottle. The brand your grandfather used, your father trusted, and you probably have in your shower right now. Head and Shoulders has been Britain's #1 anti-dandruff solution for over 60 years, 93% brand awareness among UK consumers, the highest recognition of any shampoo brand in Britain. It works, doesn't it? The flakes disappear, the itching stops, problem solved. Here's what they don't tell you. Head and Shoulders contains not 1, but 2 sulfates simultaneously. Sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium laureth sulfate, a double sulfate formula that strips every drop of natural oil from your scalp through aggressive detergent action. Your scalp produces sebum for a reason. It's your natural protective barrier. It keeps your skin healthy, prevents infections, maintains moisture balance. Head and Shoulders strips it all away. So your scalp responds by overproducing oil to compensate. You wake up with greasy hair, you need to wash more often, which strips more oil, which triggers more oil production, which makes you wash more often. You're not solving dandruff, you're creating the conditions that ensure you'll need their product forever. It's a brilliant business model. It's terrible for your scalp. Research published in the International Journal of Trichology tracked daily users of sulfate-based shampoos for 24 months. Results showed that continuous use destroys the scalp's microbiome, the beneficial bacteria that prevent inflammation. Once that barrier's gone, your scalp goes into panic mode. For anyone over 55, this becomes particularly brutal. Women in their 50s produce 30 to 40% less natural sebum than women in their 20s. Your aging scalp has already lost a significant portion of its protective barrier. A University of California study tested 20% sulfate solution on men with an average age of 56. The results showed significant scalp sensitivity, Dramatic declines in hair growth cycles, prolonged hair loss phases, the aging scalp's compromised skin barrier, reduced ceramide levels, and slower healing capacity means sulfate damage persists longer and recovers more slowly in older adults. That bottle will last you about 6 weeks. You'll spend roughly £30 per year for a product that creates the problem it claims to solve. The zinc pyrithione does target the dandruff-causing fungus. That part works, but the double sulfates ensure your scalp will never recover its natural balance. You'll need their product forever. Number 8. Pantene Pro V. The orange bottle your mother used, the brand trusted for 50 years. Pantene built its reputation on provitamin technology that promised salon-quality hair at drugstore prices. Millions bought it. Millions still do. That familiar label sits in showers across Britain like an old friend you never question. Here's what Procter & Gamble won't tell you. Every Pantene bottle contains dimethicone, the same silicone used in industrial sealants, construction adhesives, windshield coatings. You're spreading construction material on your scalp. The first wash feels amazing. Your hair shines like glass, feels smooth as silk. That's because you've literally encased each strand in synthetic polymers. Week 1, perfect. Week 4, heavy. Week 12, your hair can't breathe. Your scalp can't function. Follicles suffocate under layers of plastic buildup. Within 90 days, many users showed measurable follicle miniaturization, that's medical terminology for your hair, is slowly declining. Then there are the parabens. Methylparaben, propylparaben, endocrine disruptors that mimic estrogen in your body. The European Union restricts paraben concentrations. Britain has no limits. The formula relies heavily on these silicones to create that instant smoothness. For the first 2 weeks, your hair feels absolutely incredible. Silky smooth, manageable. You think you finally found the perfect shampoo. You tell your friends about it, then the build-up begins. Those silicones don't rinse away. They're designed not to. They accumulate layer after layer, week after week. Within 2 to 3 months, your hair looks duller than it ever did before. It feels heavy, it refuses to hold any style. Nothing seems to help. Users describe their reality. One wrote her hair became like straw. Another reported a really disgusting oily patch at her crown, not just normal grease, but really thick oil. A third said she lost about 75% more hair than usual, with visible hair loss after the second use. Here's what's happening. The sulfates in Pantene work overtime, stripping your scalp's natural oils. Your scalp goes into panic mode, producing more oil to compensate. Now you've got greasy roots from oil overproduction and coated ends from silicone buildup that look like they haven't seen proper conditioner in decades. Multiple users report their shedding stopped completely after ditching Pantene. One woman described it like turning off a tap. The hair just stopped falling out. The formula creates what can only be described as a wax museum effect. Your hair is preserved in silicone coating while simultaneously being damaged by sulfate stripping. But here's the betrayal that makes this particularly painful. Pantene wasn't always like this. The brand launched in 1945 as a Swiss pharmaceutical product. It was sold exclusively at the Waldorf Astoria in glass bottles, a premium product developed by a drug company, not a marketing department. In 1985, Procter & Gamble acquired the brand. The formulation changed, premium ingredients were replaced with mass-market alternatives. The silicones increased. The price dropped, the name stayed the same. The product didn't. From Swiss pharmacy to supermarket bargain. That's what happens when a pharmaceutical product becomes a profit center. Number 7. Dove. What does gentle actually mean on a shampoo label? For Dove, gentle means they swapped out the harshest common cleaning agent for a slightly milder version. That sounds reasonable until you learn about the manufacturing process. Sodium lauryl sulfate, Dove's primary cleaning agent, is created through a process called ethoxylation. That process generates a byproduct called 1,4-hydioxane. You won't find it on your label because it's not an added ingredient. It's created during production, and current regulations don't require brands to disclose what their manufacturing process leaves behind. Think of it as the ghost ingredient. It's in the bottle, it's not on the list. The system was built to keep it that way. What else contains 1,4-dioxane? Paint strippers. Industrial degreasers. California classifies it as a probable carcinogen. New York had to pass a state law specifically capping how much of it could be in personal care products, because federal standards weren't addressing it. A state had to write new legislation for products sitting on drugstore shelves. The cruel irony is that the very process that makes this formula gentler than the cheapest drugstore shampoo is the same process that generates the contaminant. The chemistry of gentle created the problem. The truly insidious part is you won't smell it. You won't feel it happening. Some users who connected their hair loss to this bottle described months of slow shedding before they made the link, because it smells clean, lathers clean, and does exactly what it promises, while the contaminant does something else entirely. Dove's dry shampoo line faced its own scandal. In October 2022, Unilever issued a benzene recall covering aerosol dry shampoo products from Dove, Nexus, Suave, and Tresemmé. Independent laboratory testing had found benzene contamination in the propellant system. Benzene causes leukemia. It's classified as a known human carcinogen. The company later faced allegations that it knew about the benzene risk as early as 2021, but didn't notify consumers. The proposed settlement was £3.6 million. The biggest update to US cosmetics regulation in 80 years was signed in December 2022. The ghost ingredient disclosure gap didn't close. Still a ghost. Same gentle branding, same trusted name, same hidden manufacturing byproduct that regulations don't require on your label. Number 6. Tresemmé. Sounds restorative, doesn't it? Keratin smooth. Keratin is the actual protein your hair's made of, so a shampoo that says keratin suggests it's replenishing exactly what damage has stripped away. Sounds almost medicinal. Here's the problem. There's no regulatory definition for keratin shampoo. None. That word on your label carries zero legal weight, no required ingredient standard, no minimum concentration, no efficacy threshold. Any brand can put keratin on any formula regardless of what's actually in it. The term has never been defined. It's, legally speaking, whatever the marketing department feels like saying that morning. Tresemmé named this product line after a promise that has no legal meaning, and in that formula sits DMDM hydantoin, a preservative that releases formaldehyde over time. Formaldehyde is classified as a known human carcinogen by international cancer authorities. It damages your DNA by creating cross-links between nucleotides, the same mechanism it uses to preserve bacteria-free products it uses on your cells. University of Leicester research confirmed links to nose and throat concerns primarily through inhalation exposure that occurs every time you shower with these products. But here's where the timeline becomes damning. In 2012, Unilever settled after Suave products containing DMDM hydantoin caused documented hair loss and scalp burns. 2012. The same ingredient continued appearing in Tresemmé formulas until 2022. A decade. Same company, same ingredient, different brand name. The 2012 event didn't prevent the 2022 continuation. Users described their hair snapping off in the shower. Not shedding, snapping. In clumps. From a product they bought specifically to strengthen it, and that keratin smooth bottle sitting in your steaming shower is getting more potent over time, not less, because heat accelerates formaldehyde release. The packaging doesn't say this. The hydrolyzed keratin in the ingredient list is real. It's just doing considerably less work than the person who invented the name keratin smooth. British women reported clumps of hair falling out in the shower, chemical burns requiring months of medical treatment, permanent scarring with no hair regrowth. The betrayal becomes particularly cruel when you realize these are the most popular women's shampoos in Britain. 5.2 million users. Tresemmé leads the ranking. The product, marketed as salon quality without salon prices, became something considerably different. Users experienced identical problems to those documented in 2012. The ingredient was known. The risks were documented. The product remained available. Number 5. L'Oréal Elvive. Because you're worth it. That's the slogan, the premium French brand promising hair mask in a bottle, anti-breakage technology, nourishing repair. The glossy commercials show shiny results. The reality users describe is somewhat different. Their hair feels dry and brittle over time. UK Elvive shampoo contains propylene glycol. You'll find propylene glycol in antifreeze. It's an antifreeze component. That's not metaphor or exaggeration. It's the actual ingredient used to lower the freezing point in car cooling systems. It's also in your L'Oreal shampoo, marketed as nourishing. Despite the nourishing advertisements, Elvive uses a strong detergent base of sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium lauryl sulfate plus synthetic solvents. The commercials show transformation. The ingredient list shows something else. Investigations found it contains these harsh sulfates plus siloxanes, the family of silicone compounds that coat hair strands. The ads promise natural oils. The formula delivers cheap detergents and industrial solvents, a far cry from what the natural oils claim implies. For a brand that built its identity on that famous tagline, the gap between because you're worth it and what's actually in the bottle is rather substantial. The slick commercials hide that it's mostly cheap detergents and concerning solvents. Users say their hair feels dry and brittle over time, not nourished and repaired. The marketing implies luxury. The formulation suggests otherwise. That's the contrast between what 93% brand awareness buys you in advertising versus what actually goes on your hair. The premium French image versus the antifreeze component reality. Because you're worth it becomes a rather different statement when you read what you're actually worth to them. Number 4. Alberto Balsam. Here's what you're actually buying. Sodium lauryl sulfate as the second ingredient, synthetic fragrance legally hiding up to 200 undisclosed chemicals. Multiple allergens including linalool and limonene. Enough propylene glycol to strip paint? Yes, the same chemical used in antifreeze, again. Unilever owns Alberto Balsam. They manufacture it in the same factories as their premium brands like Dove and Tresemmé. But here's the specification they use. Make it the cheapest possible formula. A factory worker who manufactures supermarket-owned brands confirmed the approach. One supermarket's only specification was to make it the cheapest, not comparable quality at lower prices. Not good value. The absolute cheapest formula that can legally be called shampoo. Users describe their scalps feeling sore. That saving comes at a cost. Dermatologist visits, prescription medicated shampoos trying to repair the damage. Permanent scalp sensitivity, the ingredient list reads like a chemistry experiment. You're not washing your hair, you're conducting chemical warfare on your scalp. For those on fixed incomes, for pensioners counting every pound, Alberto Balsam looks like a practical choice. Why spend more when this will do the same job? Except it won't. The formula strips so aggressively that users report their hair feels squeaky clean, almost sticky. That squeaky feeling isn't cleanliness. It's your hair shaft's cuticle layer being damaged. Within weeks, hair becomes brittle, breaking off at the ends, developing split ends faster than they can be trimmed. The texture changes from soft to wiry. The cheapest option, targeting people who can't afford better, becomes the option that costs them more in trying to fix what it damaged. That's the truly cruel part. The people who choose this because they're stretching every pound are the ones who end up needing expensive treatments to repair what the cheap shampoo did. The bargain that wasn't a bargain at all. Number 3. Herbal essences. Remember those commercials? Beautiful women in slow motion tossing their hair, the organic experience, rainforest botanicals, exotic fruit extracts, nature in a bottle. The packaging screams green, clean, wholesome. It looks like something you'd find at a farmer's market, not a corporate laboratory. Procter & Gamble, Herbal Essences owner, uses what can only be described as creative natural origin classification. They classify petroleum-derived chemicals as naturally derived because petroleum came from ancient organisms millions of years ago. Technically true, wildly misleading. By this logic, plastic is natural. Petrol is natural. You paid premium for natural ingredients that don't exist in meaningful amounts. The botanicals that give the shampoo its name play minimal roles in the actual formulation. Window dressing for marketing photos. The brand promotes Hello I Am Pure certification. That's a Procter & Gamble internal standard, not an independent third-party verification like other recognized organic certifications. A company certifying its own products as pure isn't independent verification. It's marketing. Beyond the creative, natural claims, there's the 2022 recall. Procter & Gamble recalled 32 brands of dry shampoo products, including Herbal Essence's dry shampoos, due to potential presence of benzene. Benzene is classified as a known human carcinogen. The recall covered aerosol dry shampoo products that independent testing found contained benzene contamination from the propellant system used to deliver the aerosol. Benzene isn't an ingredient anyone intended to include. It entered the products as a contaminant through a manufacturing process. The question the recall raised, and that Procter & Gamble hasn't fully answered publicly, is what quality control systems failed to detect benzene contamination in 32 separately branded products before they reached consumers. The standard Herbal Essences shampoo line contains synthetic fragrance with undisclosed composition, sodium lauryl sulfate, and depending on the specific product, preservative systems that consumer health organizations have raised concerns about. The organic experience promised in those memorable commercials versus the petroleum derivatives classified as natural because ancient organisms created oil millions of years ago. The green packaging versus the synthetic reality. 90% natural origin screaming from every bottle, while the actual naturally derived content is considerably less impressive than the marketing suggests. Number 2. Batiste Dry Shampoo. 3 cans sold every second worldwide. Britain's number 1 dry shampoo, the convenient quick fix for when you don't have time to wash your hair properly. The travel essential, the busy morning savior. In October 2021, independent laboratory Valageur released testing results. They'd analyzed dry shampoo products from multiple brands. What they found in Batiste was benzene, not trace amounts. Benzene levels of 14.9 parts per million. The FDA considers 2 parts per million the maximum safe level. 14.9 versus 2, that's over 7 times the threshold. These findings were made public. The products remained available for purchase. Church and Dwight, Batiste's parent company, faced a proposed settlement. The amount discussed was $2.5 million. But here's what makes this particularly concerning. The company paid the settlement. The products were never formally recalled. They're still on shelves today, mixed in with reformulated versions, and there's no clear way for consumers to tell which version they're buying unless they memorize batch codes. Users reported symptoms, massive headaches, dizziness, nausea, confusion, hair loss. Daily exposure through a product marketed as convenient became daily exposure to a substance that causes leukemia. Benzene is linked to blood cancers, to bone marrow damage. It's not a mild irritant, it's a recognized carcinogen. The convenience factor made it worse. This isn't a product you use once a week. It's the product you use when you're rushing, when you don't have time, multiple times a week for some users. Every application, another exposure, the aerosol propellant was identified as the contamination source. The propellant, the thing that makes it convenient to spray, contained the carcinogen. 3 cans sold every second, 14.9 parts per million, 7 times over the safety threshold, settlement paid. Products still available. That's the timeline. That's what happened with the world's most popular dry shampoo brand. Number 1. OGX. The Instagram-worthy bottles, the exotic ingredients, Moroccan argan oil, Brazilian keratin, biotin and collagen. OGX markets itself as the premium natural option at drugstore prices. The labels say sulfate-free, paraben-free, natural ingredients. It looks like everything health-conscious consumers want. The bottles are beautiful enough to display in your bathroom. In 2012, Johnson & Johnson publicly committed to removing formaldehyde-releasing preservatives from consumer products by 2015, from baby products by 2013. That commitment was made after growing consumer concern about formaldehyde releases in personal care products. When Johnson & Johnson acquired Vogue International, which manufactures OGX, in 2016 the OGX shampoos and conditioners still contain DMDM hydantoin, a formaldehyde-releasing preservative. Despite having made the 2015 commitment to remove such ingredients, Johnson & Johnson continued manufacturing OGX products with DMDM hydantoin until September 2021. 6 years after the company's own stated deadline for removal, the timeline reveals something uncomfortable. 2012, public commitment made. 2016, brand acquired with the ingredient still present. 2021, ingredient finally removed. That's 9 years from commitment to implementation. The lawsuit allegations noted that Johnson & Johnson had been aware of the concerns about formaldehyde-releasing preservatives since at least 2012, the year they made the public commitment, and continued using DMDM hydantoin in OGX products for nearly a decade after that acknowledgement. Here's what makes OGX's situation particularly painful for consumers. They targeted you specifically: the woman reading labels, the person avoiding sulfates, the consumer researching ingredients, the individual trying to do everything right. OGX knew you were looking for clean products, so they made bottles that looked clean, labels that said clean. And then they put formaldehyde-releasing preservatives inside. Over 10,000 consumers reported identical symptoms: excessive shedding, bald patches, scalp burns, hair that became so brittle it snapped off during normal brushing. Users described watching their hair slowly decline in real time. Women who paid premium prices, believing they were buying clean hair care, were funding something very different. Families who chose OGX specifically to protect their children from chemicals found the pretty bottles hid concerns they were trying to avoid. For anyone who experienced unexplained hair loss while using OGX, you weren't imagining it. Thousands documented the same experience. The premium bottles, the natural promises, the formaldehyde reality. OGX proves that pretty packaging and clever marketing can hide almost anything. Independent laboratory testing also found benzene contamination in certain OGX dry shampoo products, adding another layer to an already troubling record. The exotic ingredients on the front label, the biotin and collagen promises, couldn't overcome what was actually in the formula. Beautiful bottles don't make beautiful outcomes when what's inside contradicts what's on the outside. So where does this leave you? Standing in the shampoo aisle, reading labels trying to decode ingredient lists that seem designed not to be understood. Here's what you need to know. Safe shampoo exists. Clean formulations exist. They don't require specialist stores or premium pricing. They're available at the same retailers where you bought the products we just discussed. The difference is what's inside the bottle and whether anyone independent verified it. First, faith in nature. 99.5% natural origin ingredients. Zero sulfates, not gentle sulfates, not mild sulfates. Zero sulfates, zero parabens, zero silicones. 100% vegan, B Corp certified, meaning they meet rigorous standards of social and environmental performance. Made right here in Britain. 99% biodegradable. The packaging is 100% recycled and recyclable. They use essential oils for fragrance instead of synthetic chemicals hiding under the word parfum on ingredient lists. Faith in Nature was the first shampoo to achieve Soil Association organic certification. That's not marketing language. That's third-party verification that took years to earn. The brand has been producing these formulations since well before organic personal care became commercially fashionable. You'll find it at Superdrug, Tesco, Boots, and Holland & Barrett. It's widely available. It proves that clean ingredients don't require premium pricing or specialist shopping trips. Safe options exist exactly where you normally shop. They're sitting right next to the products we just discussed. The difference is what's inside. Second, simple, kind to hair. Here's something that matters. This sits right next to the problematic brands at similar price points. Dermatologically tested, paraben-free, contains provitamin B5, chamomile, and glycerin. Yes, it contains sodium lauryl sulfate, which is a milder sulfate than sodium lauryl sulfate. But it's specifically approved for sensitive scalps and won't strip your natural oils with the same aggression as the double sulfate formula in other products we discussed. Sometimes the safe choice costs exactly the same as the dangerous one. You just need to know which bottle to pick up. Simple Kind to Hair proves you don't need to spend significantly more to avoid the ingredients that cause the problems we've been discussing. The option that won't harm you is already there at the price you're used to paying. You just needed to know it existed. Third, Philip Kingsley Density Range. For anyone dealing with hair thinning that affects 65% of women during and after menopause, this represents 60 years of trichological expertise. Yes, it's the premium option. But here's why it matters. This isn't just safe shampoo. This is actual treatment specifically formulated for hormonal hair loss affecting aging women. Developed by trichologists, not marketing departments. Tested in clinical studies, proven effective specifically for aging hair. Available at Boots, Look Fantastic, and John Lewis. The Density range contains niacinamide, biotin, and caffeine formulations that create optimal scalp conditions for hair growth. It removes follicle-clogging sebum while simultaneously strengthening hair resilience. It addresses the root cause of age-related thinning rather than just masking symptoms. When you need medical-grade results, when standard shampoos aren't addressing genuine hair loss concerns, when you're dealing with conditions that require more than just clean ingredients, this is where trichological expertise becomes worth the investment. Effective alternatives exist at every price point, but when the concern is genuine progressive hair loss, the expertise behind the formulation matters. 3 ingredients to specifically search for and avoid. DMDM hydantoin. This is a formaldehyde-releasing preservative. When it contacts water, which it does immediately in a shampoo formulation, it releases formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is a known human carcinogen. If it's on the label, put the bottle back. Sodium lauryl sulfate. This is the primary surfactant in most conventional shampoos. The chemical responsible for the lather, it strips the scalp's natural oils, has been documented as a skin irritant in clinical testing and may be contaminated with 1,4-hydroxane as a manufacturing byproduct. Gentler coconut-derived surfactants achieve the same cleansing without the irritation profile. Synthetic fragrance without component disclosure. The word fragrance or parfum on a shampoo label discloses nothing about what that fragrance actually contains. Concerning compounds can be present in undisclosed fragrance formulations. Brands that scent their products with named essential oils are providing transparency that the blanket fragrance designation withholds. The information exists. It's just not on the front of the bottle where you'd see it. Now you know where to look. Now you know safe options exist at the same shops, often at similar prices. The expensive shampoo isn't always the safe one. The cheap shampoo isn't always the dangerous one. What matters is what's actually inside. If this video changed how you'll shop for shampoo, click that hype button one more time. Help this reach someone else who's still using these products without knowing what we just discussed. Leave a comment telling me which food or product category we should investigate next. What else in your home needs this level of scrutiny? Until next time, read the labels, question the marketing, and protect your plate.